if you want to be good at anything, you have to continue to practice. You see Michael Jordan, even he, biggest basketball player, great at one of the greatest, and he continued to practice and practice and practice and practice all through his career. You see, I right now one of the vocalists that I am just absolutely in awe of at the moment is Cynthia Erivo, and what she does, she sings every single day, every single day. Maybe it's not an entire show full of music, but she'll do her scales or she'll sing at least one song just to keep her voice going because she knows that if we stop, we will lose what we've built.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creativity Worth Expressing. I'm your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and today I'm joined by a very creative songwriter. Please welcome to the podcast, Bri McKay. Bri, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm great today. How are you?
I'm doing good. Right now, I'm in sunny San Antonio. Can you share with us where you're coming from today?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, right. So we have to
Yeah,
Texas. All right.
Texas. Yep.
Texas. Well, thank you for joining me for the podcast. Something that I always like to do is to dive into each guest's creative background and journey. And I mentioned already that you're into songwriting, and of course, you make your own music. But my first question for you is, what sparked your love for creativity to begin with?
Oh gosh. So I, my parents joke that I popped out of the womb singing. They joke, but I've always kind of been interested in the performing arts, whether it's dance, singing, acting. Yeah, I grew to love all of it, and I do say that music and singing was my first love when it comes to all of that. But to be quite honest, I think I got more captivated first with dance because my parents took me to see Lord of the Dance when it first came to America. And I was captivated. I mean, as a 3 year old, I can remember only as much as I can as a 3 year old, but I just remember being so captivated with the beautiful lady in red who was dancing and the music. It made you feel. I loved the Irish steps and the Irish tapping, and it it just the whole storytelling of it was so great. And I remember going home, and my parents would listen to Celtic Women at one point, and I remember taking my stepmom's CD, and I don't remember when this was, but I just remember putting the first song on there over and over and being in my room and trying to create a dance to this beautiful music that was so it felt so fairy like, so fantastical that for a little girl was just like, ooh, I feel like a princess, that kind of thing. And um, I just fell in love with that, and then I got into singing more, and I was in Texas Girls Choir. That was kind of, I consider it a birthday gift for my ninth birthday because I went to go audition and I got in, and we got to do that. So that's where I really learned to sing properly. I learned all my choral background, how to sight read music, how to read music, music theory, all of that. And, acting came later, and songwriting came kind of when I was about 11 or 12. And that was really just because I needed a healthy outlet to express myself in a very kind of toxic environment,
Mm.
um, in a kind of unstable environment. And so that's how I got into that, and the rest is history. So yeah, I think it's interesting that I really did fall in love with music, and everybody knows that's my thing. But dance actually came first.
Okay. Thank you for sharing about your love for music, how it sparked at 3 years old with Lord of the Dance. Now, I'm not very familiar. Is that the same as like Riverdance? Is that, am I correct?
It is very similar. It is very similar. Um, it was created in that um, in the spirit of Riverdance. But if you ever look up Michael Flatley, he is considered the Lord of the Dance, and it's a story told through dance about this. There's Michael Flatley, and then there's his arch nemesis who try and they kind of battle each other, like have like a dance battle. And then there's this woman who has this beautiful flute that she plays, and it breaks, and it's just it's wonderful. And there's a love story to it, but it's all told through dance. It's beautiful.
It sounds mystical, just the way
It
you're
is.
sharing.
It is. It really is.
So yeah, well, thank you for sharing about that spark and how you started developing, songwriting. But when you started writing, was it already like, was your mind like, yes, this is going to become music, or did you ever like experiment and do like maybe some fiction or maybe some short stories, or was it always like just geared towards music?
For the most part, it was geared towards lyrics and writing in a song format because I didn't really start writing instrumentals
Mm.
until I was an adult. So it was lots of words. It was wordplay. It was poetry. But it was all. I wrote it all in the sense that I would eventually like, gosh, if I put music to this, this would be a song. So I wrote it in that format with a verse and a chorus and all of that. But as I've gotten older, I have had experiences where I'm like, that would be really writing a short story or even writing a film script would be super exciting. I actually got my first opportunity to help co-write. I think it's about 2 or 3 years ago. I did the 48 hour film project and I got to be a co-writer on that script. And so I got to experience working with another writer and all of that. But I think the reason I haven't focused too much on the writing aspect as far as doing short stories or films or any of that is because I know me and I have so much going on in my head as far as creative ideas and everything that I'm like, okay, I don't want to be that person that starts something and just doesn't finish it. So I like to focus in on like, okay, this is what I'm focusing on right now. Let me do that. Put this on the back burner. And then when the time is right, I will get to that. And funny enough, this podcast comes at a great time because I'm starting to really focus in on different creative writing because I feel this is the time for me to really sit and focus on it. One of my goals this year is, like I mentioned, I've been songwriting lyrically since I was about 12 or 13 years old. And I have almost every single song I have written up until then. I have kept them all. But I also know that as an adult, I do not resonate with how I was writing as a teenager. And I just, I don't see the world the same way anymore. And my writing was so green back then versus, me writing for a long time that my writing style is just a little bit different. But I wanted to utilize these songs that I have written and be able to release them to people. So what I am doing is creating a book. And I mean, you can call it a poetry book if you want. Uh, but I'm going to take the songs that I've written, since, you know, all through childhood and up until like my early 20s, songs that I'm never going to put to music. I'm never going to release them, but put them into like a poetry format, maybe take out some of the, when I was writing at a younger age, I was very explicit about what something was about. I made it very clear what something was about, and some of my it was a bit it's a bit too much information that the public does not need
Yeah.
as far as what's going into my life. So what I'm going to do is kind of take it and maybe rearrange to where that personal information is out, but the message is still there. And that way we have a book that showcases, what was going on in my head and what I was feeling and trying to express at the time. And hopefully it'll help other people, not just teenagers. I think it'd be helpful for teenagers, and you know the fluctuations of hormones and everything that they're going through to sit down and look at that. But also people that have gotten older, but they haven't really gotten over childhood wounds. It'd be just all sorts of different things, topics
Mm.
put into a book format. So I haven't done anything like that before, and it's, it's scary as hell, to be quite honest. Um, like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm fucking terrified to release some of this, because it is like, I tell everybody, if you want to know me at my best or know me better than anybody, look at my music, look at the lyrics that I write, look at what I'm writing about, because that's how I'm fully expressing what I'm feeling to the truest form. I mean, I think anybody who had that book and studied it would know me probably better than some of my family members do. It's my music is and my writing is that personal, and I do that because, I mean, that's what I know. I write what I know, and of course I have an imagination, and I can, spin an idea and make it fantastical, and you know, take creative liberties and creating a story that, around something that may not have happened, but it'll make a good story, or it's something that has happened to somebody. But for the most part, I'm writing from experience.
There's something that I like that you mentioned was because you're being very raw, you're being very like, very real, and you were saying that while you're like compiling this, there's some parts where maybe it's not for the public. But what I want to ask you now is, even though it's not for the public, how important do you think it is to write it anyways? Because some people might think, oh, if it's not for the public, might as well not create it, or might as well not even do it. But here you are, you're acknowledging, you're able to make a distinguishing mark where, yeah, even though that's not for the public, I still made it. I still put the time to do it. So for you, how important is it to create anyways?
I don't. It's important in all aspects, and I feel like I should rephrase this. It's not that the information isn't for public knowledge; it's that it's so explicit on who and what it's about.
Mm,
And the what isn't so bad, but the who, I would like to give some anonymity,
I see.
specifically to some family members that I have had to work through my emotions with. And I don't feel comfortable. I am comfortable
Mm,
explaining what I feel and what I went through. I'm very open and honest about that. I've got nothing to hide. But I'm not going to explicitly say who it's about specifically for family, because that doesn't sit right with me.
okay,
Like,
now.
it's one thing for me to put myself and my experiences out there. It's another for me to blast my dirty laundry about somebody else and make it publicly known who it's about for
Okay.
them. Yeah,
Okay, now, okay. 'Cause I had the impression that, when you're creating, it's well, now I'm understanding that when you're, writing these lyrics, that it really does reflect your life. And because, we listen to music many times,
yeah.
like sung by pop artists, and many times the what they're singing, the lyrics have been made by someone else, and it doesn't necessarily reflect what the pop artist, pop singer is actually feeling. But here we're seeing that there is a stronger connection. So okay, so now that's
Most of
clarified.
my yeah, I mean, for all of the music that I've written around, that I've written and that I've released, I should say released. Um,
Okay.
I have, there are people, and they will speculate if they know me personally, they probably know who and what it's about. Now, they had come up to me before, take unapologetically before. I have had somebody come up to me and said, well, I know, I can't listen to that because I know who you wrote it about. And I'm like, but you're so wrong. I didn't write it about just one person. That song specifically, I wrote about a group of people, several people. That so, but at the same time, I respect people saying like, this is what I got from it, and this is how I think, this is where I think it came from as far as my experiences go, if they know me personally. And even if they don't, I love to hear other people's perspective when they listen to it, because just because I wrote it about something doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't see it for their situation. Take my song Feel Anything. I wrote that about a very specific event in my life, but a lot of people think it's a breakup song when it's not. But it works as a breakup song. I do get that. And I think it's great because something I love to do with writing, and I did this with Cut the Light. Cut the, Cut the Light is a song that it can go either or, and it, one of two directions. And I did that on purpose because I wanted the listener to interpret it however they wanted to. So the term "cut the light" it's about, you know, the relationship, and it is just, it's been rocky, it's hard, it's, you know, I want to have fun, but you're making it really hard to have fun, you're making me upset, all of this. And so the term "cut the lights" can either be cut the lights as in cut the lights in the bedroom and let's make up, or cut the lights as in break up. So I wrote it in a way that people can interpret it whatever way they want. And I love doing that. I love getting the listeners to just think. I love writing lyrics that make people think. I have songs that I haven't released yet that I'm going to start. I have several that I'm working on right now that are very kind of philosophical, and it's very existential, and thinking about life. And I love to do that because not everybody likes to talk about the deep internal, kind of almost morbid thoughts that I have sometimes that I think about. But I know that with music, it's just going to magnify the message, because maybe they don't understand the lyrics, or maybe they have never experienced what's going on in the lyrics. But I guarantee you that the music behind it is going to make them feel something. And then it's the other way around. Sometimes the music is just super, super, super fun, but the lyrics is what grabs people's attention. I am such a nerd when it comes to this.
No, something that I find very captivating in this conversation is that uh, you have this openness as the one who's writing the lyrics, who's doing the songs. You have the openness to not spark debates, but sparking conversations as to for the people to interpret like what it is that they think that this means. And sometimes their interpretation might be totally wrong, but that's the cool thing about, you know, creativity in general. Like, okay, like for me, like if I'm listening to a song, there are times when I just sing the lyrics and, you know, like I memorized it. But there are other times when I'm in the feels and it's like I feel the song. Like even though maybe someone else isn't gonna feel it, but it's like I feel it, and maybe that's not even the creator's correct interpretation, but that's how I interpret it. So that's what I'm trying to say is I really love that openness that you have for
Thank you.
interpret. And now, have you heard any interpretations that were like besides the one that you mentioned, where the person's like, "Oh, you're talking about me," but have you heard any other interpretations that were interesting?
Um, you know, a lot of the songs that I've written, they can be pretty straightforward. Um, uh, I think the biggest one was Feel Anything. And that's just, it was written about an experience, a very, um, a very hard experience. And it's written about loss. And it's just written about that, just somebody that I lost. But it's not a breakup. But most people, when they hear it, they're like, this broke my heart. This is like a perfect breakup song. And it is. I mean, because a breakup is another form of loss. And and with unapologetically, uh, the person that talked to me about this, he knew it wasn't written about him. He thought it was written about my ex. And I was like, no, I didn't write it about any certain person. It's just been my feelings around multiple people kind of acting the same way. So, other than that, the most feedback that I get isn't really about the interpretation, but more how it made them feel something. Like, I have a friend who, when I released my Obstacles EP, she reached out and listened to it. And several months later, she was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I was going through a really, really hard time. And your music helped me get through it. And going back to expression and creativity, it's like I said, it is scary as hell to be so honest and so deep and so raw as an artist like that, to be writing about true things that I'm feeling and understanding and trying to understand myself, just writing about life and things that I know. And it can be really scary to be that vulnerable because as an artist, we tend to be very, very attached to our music and we're very sensitive people that it's easy for us to like put a song out that we worked so hard on. It's written from the heart, and people just shut it down and be like, nope, horrible song, can't write, can't sing, none of this. And you have to be able to push that away. And when you get feedback saying, hey, well, this song, it helped me, it makes it 100% worth just for that. Because me, right, and going back to writing my book, I have always written to express myself in a healthy way so that I don't have all of this pent up energy just waiting to explode like a bomb, because that's never good. So that's how I felt the most comfortable expressing myself, and I just carried that into my adult life. And my book specifically, it's become more than me. I wrote it because there were several people in my family who had been diagnosed. And some family members were like, I am so confused. I don't understand what this means. I don't understand it. And I was like, okay, I've lived with this since I was 7 years old. I had watched my mom deal with it. So for the majority of my life, I've been learning how to deal with this. So I did all the research I needed to. I asked questions, I studied, and I wrote a book. And I did it specifically for my family members. But then I realized, I was like, this needs to be out, and it's become bigger than me. And writing that has given me the courage to continue to talk about mental health, to actually be an advocate, and to get on podcasts and talk about it, to start my tiny little page that every once in a while I'll go on. It's called Mentality Boot Camp, and put quotes out there that I think have inspired me to keep going. But hopefully it'll help them keep going. And my music, again, it started the same. I wrote because it's what I wanted to do. I'm passionate about it. It was a healthy way for me to express myself. But then it came around like music helped me in my hardest, darkest days. If my music can help them, somebody else, well, to make them feel like they're not alone, or that there's somebody else who's been through this and that it's going to be okay on the other side. I don't mind. I will be as vulnerable and as naked as I have to let people understand that you're going to be okay. You're going to get past this, and just kind of be that light I kind of wish I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to writing, it's no joke. I mean, it sounds like you
It's
are
no joke. I mean,
you.
I enjoy it. I love it, but it has become more than just a thing that I love to do. It's become a purpose.
I love that it becomes a purpose. And you mentioned earlier that some of these songs or the things that you write, they're very close to your heart. Um, are there like what songs would you say are like maybe on your top list of like closest to your heart from the ones that
Oh,
you've made? I would say.
yeah. Um, My last album, I dropped it in October. It's called Truth Is, and the whole concept of that album was me expressing things I don't normally express. Like there's several very, very sexy time type bedroom songs. Like one is Vanilla Roses. And I am not one to really put that on display for everybody, but it's actually one of the songs that people love the most. But on that album, there's a song called Sandcastle. And my parents have been divorced since I was 2 years old. And it wasn't until I was, I think maybe 3 years ago, that I actually found the words to express what that did to me. And don't get me wrong, my step parents have been in my life just as long. And without that, I would never have my sisters. And I love them dearly. So I'm happy with how everything played out, but I'm not going to sit there and say that it didn't affect me. I'm not going to say that it doesn't have a long-term effect on me. And that's what Sandcastle is the absolute honest truth about how my parents' relationship and how it broke and trying to navigate that and going from house to house and realizing that there's not really a lot of stability there and that I've never really known stability. No matter how much they tried to give it, it was not there. Um, I think that's the most close to my heart, most open, most vulnerable. On top of that, it would be Feel Anything because that was just a very, very traumatic loss for me uh, to write about. And I do write it as if I'm talking to somebody because um, in a way I am. But I would say those. And as much as I like to write things that matter, I do like the occasional song it's just fun.
Yeah.
You know, it just makes you feel good. And Collide is one of those. Collide is one of those. It's just fun. I wanted to make people feel good. I wanted people to feel like they could get up and dance to it. So there's all sorts of things on the spectrum.
Well, we've seen that you have a very deep love for the writing process, and we see you just like there's a passion that you have when you're speaking about it, which is beautiful because that shows that you really love the art that you're making. But your creativity is not only limited um, to songwriting and singing, but you also have other hats that you put on. You also do. I saw that you have some music videos, and that you've also been involved in acting. My next question for you is: do these go together at all, or are they separated? The music videos and the acting.
The music videos, I think, is a way for me to integrate all of the different hats. Because I mean, the music videos are from my music, so I have the music, doing the visuals, and so if there's any acting involved, like Sidelines was, I played three different characters, and the whole bit is that I am me, as in right now, and then there's the like bad bitchy voice in my head, and the go-getter cheerleader type girl in my head. And I had to play all three of those. And so acting in that respect comes in for sure. And then some of the other ones, it just revolved around dancing and setting a mood for the song. I had somebody, I think I was maybe 20, 21 years old, and they told me that I had to choose between my music and acting. I couldn't do both. And for the longest time, I believed them. I was like, okay, well, which one do I love more? What do I want to do? Because my degree's in musical theater. I went so that I could learn all of it, so that I could be a triple threat, so that I could have these skills, so that I could work and have more opportunities to work. And then for somebody to come in afterwards who is in their own right very respected and very talented in what they do, especially as a writer himself. And I thought, well, crap, I probably, I can't imagine doing one or the other and having to choose between them, but I guess I'm going to have to. So I started focusing on my music more. And then a lot of things happened. And in 2020, I actually started releasing as a soloist. And then when I was out of a relationship that I had been in for a while, I was like, you know what? I miss acting. There is no reason why I have to choose between one or the other. You see so many people who have those skills that do both, and they're wildly successful at it. And that's okay. You see, and this is debatable. This is debatable, and this may not be this may not be a popular opinion, but I think Lindsay Lohan actually has an incredible voice. I love when she writes music. Her second album, A Little More Personal, Raw, is one of my favorite works of hers. She is so talented in that respect. But at the same time, she's known as an actress, and she has done all of that. You see J Lo,
Mhm.
she does it all. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm sick and tired of having to choose. So I'm just going to do both. And now that I've done that, I find that people who are fans of my music, they're like, "Oh, you're an actress too? Cool. What have you done?" And so I show them those, and then that becomes another person who likes me for my acting, and vice versa. If I'm doing a show or if I'm doing a film, it's like, "Oh yeah, I also do music," and then that gets me more listeners to go and listen to what I do. And so it does go hand in hand, and it's been gratifying to just know that on top of all that, my music can work in the film industry too. I can start writing and trying to get sync and licensing in for music. I have my song "Feel Anything" is in a short film that I was in called Hey Girlie, and I'm like, well, that's another way for me for people to see both what I do collectively instead of just she just does this, she just does this, and I think so many people are misguided in the same way I was for a long time that you need to choose your your field. You need to choose your area, your specialty. If you're going to do music, then you do music and you stay in that field. You want to do acting, then stay in that field. And even within acting, some people are like, oh no, I only do theater or I only do film. And I'm like, why limit yourself? Why limit yourself? The beauty of all of this and what something I love is that it's a way to express truth and experiences and thoughts and feelings in different mediums. And the great thing is that not everybody likes to listen to music, but people love to watch movies or they love to go see theater. So your message just can get across in that way. And then vice versa. Some people hate going to the theater, but some people have no business or don't even watch TV, but they listen to music or podcasts all the time. And so it's just great that I can get my message and I can get and tell stories and relate to people in different mediums. And I love that because it's a broader reach.
Oh, so thank you for sharing about again, how I said earlier, how you have many hats, but you're able to put them all on at once, and you're able to have this balance
Oh,
where
let me be quite clear. That is not an easy thing to do. It is very difficult. I will tell you, I am actually in the process. I have been going nonstop since July last year. And it was
nonstop.
doing nonstop. I mean, doing I'll give you a timeline. In July, I was doing sound for a play. I ran the sound also, so that was taken up. In August, I was directing a miniature, like 3 minute microfilm that was going to be turned into commercials. So I was doing all of that. And then I started rehearsals for a play that ended in September, and we had shows in October. At the end of that show, the next week, my album came out. And then I was doing sound for the Christmas show coming up on top of all the holiday stuff. And I thought I was finally going to do a break. And then I did To Kill a Mockingbird, and we started rehearsals right before Christmas. and all through, and we just finished 2 weeks ago. And so these past 2 weeks, I have been just enjoying the process of being able to relax and sit and decompress, because as much as I love doing what I do, I was on the brink of burnout at the time. And it's very important as even as creatives to take time for ourselves. And I mean, even not as creatives, just anybody, a journalist, to take time for yourselves and to have a life around what you do. Even if you love what you do, it's okay to take some time to just exist. And that's what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. And next week, I'm probably going to start and get back on. So I'll be working on a book. So
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your creative journey. Um, we've spoken mostly like on the songwriting, on the music. Uh, that's another question that I have. Like, do you play any instruments?
I don't know if I had suppressed this, but I remember I got both guitar and piano lessons. I think my first piano lessons were ever, I think I was 3 years old. And I was not a consistent person growing up. I wasn't. I quit things a lot. Uh, the one thing I never quit was my music. It's so strange. But I took piano lessons, so I learned that. I was about 3 years old, I think. And then I remember my brother wanted to go have drum lessons, so I wanted to go do that. So I got guitar lessons instead, and so we did that. And as much as I would love to play guitar, it is so difficult for my fingers. But all in all, if I had to say that I play an instrument, it would be piano, because I know the music theory. I know the notes on the piano. It's just a matter of playing it, and I can play if I'm just by myself. I'm no Mozart or anything, but I know enough to where when I go into my DAW to actually write and record actual instrumentals, I know enough music theory to where I can play it and put it in, and then I can choose the different instruments that I want, and I can create it that way. So there are some of my songs that are completely written by me. There are some that are written both by me and somebody else. And then the majority of them, because it's not my strongest suit, have been produced instrumentally by someone else who that is their strong suit. But I have several songs that I've written that are released that I wrote, like everything. And I'm very proud of those. That being said, the show that I was doing in October last year was called Inferno, Fire at the Coconut Grove, 1942. And it's based on a true story about the fire that killed about 300 or 400 people in the Coconut Grove in Boston, Massachusetts in 1942. And I played a real person named Goody Goodell. And she was the pianist and singer for that nightclub. And I had to brush up on my piano skills. And I didn't get to the point, and I'm being very critical about myself. Time was not on my side. I had a month to put this entire thing together on top of the acting for all of it. And I had to play without sheet music. I had to play and sing at the same time. And it's one thing to play, it's one thing to sing. It's another to play and sing at the same time. The show went off, and it was great. I didn't get where I wanted to be. And maybe probably my director would have liked if I was able to pick up another song or two or have it flushed out better than it was. But we got it in. So I can comfortably say that when the time needs to be, I can play piano live. Very simply, but I can. That's a long-winded version. It's not my strong suit. I'm working on it. I do continue to work on it because, I mean, it's a skill that I need to have. So but I have enough to where I'm still able to write with my MIDI keyboard and put it into the system and create fully fleshed instrumentals.
And I love how you said that you work on it and you continue to work on it. And that is for me the key of being an artist is that there are going to be areas in whatever field of art or creativity that one's working on where you got to keep working on it. And it's not going to be that masterpiece on the first try. Well, but you keep on working on it, dude. I mean, it's
Well, and
okay.
I think that's something that people don't realize. I don't really think they realize that. Like professionals, we continue to work on our craft. We have to because it is one of singing specifically and acting specifically. If you stop, you lose it. It's like a muscle. Um,
Mm.
and if you want to be good at anything, you have to continue to practice. You see Michael Jordan, even he biggest basketball player, great at one of the greatest. And he continued to practice and practice and practice and practice all through his career. You see, I right now one of the vocalists that I am just absolutely in awe of at the moment is Cynthia Erivo. And what she does, she sings every single day, every single day. Maybe it's not an entire show full of music, but she'll do her scales or she'll sing at least one song just to keep her voice going because she knows that if we stop, we will lose what we've built. So
Well, I wanted to go
hence to anybody.
I wanted to go full circle real quick and remember that you first started off, or what sparked off your love for creativity in the first place was dance. Is that going to be coming back in your creative journey?
Well, um, it has been. It has been. Again, I went to school for musical theater, so I got, technical training in ballet, tap, jazz. We had a little bit of modern while we were there, which was great. I've taken a lot of a lot of hip hop and Afro beats type dance classes, which are so fun. Um, but it's exciting because the last music video I did, Empty Bottle, I choreographed it. I choreographed that, so that was fun. And every once in a while, I'll hear a song, and I'm like, man, I want to choreograph something to this so bad. And I did a couple, I think it was in December, I think. I heard a song and I heard this new, they're not really a new band, but I had never heard them. They're called Fly by Midnight. And it's these two men, and their voices are gorgeous. But there was this song, and I was like, oh, this would make a beautiful dance. And so I had some free time. I had like 45 minutes, so I was just in my living room and I created a dance and I filmed it. It's on my Instagram.
Okay.
So yeah, so I keep dance in there. I will say I will never be a ballerina. I I don't have the aesthetic for it. I don't have the um I have the knowledge for it, but
Like, do you have the
um
grace? Like,
no, no, no. If anything, I mean, I can try. I can try. And sometimes it's there when I need to, but I don't have the long break. I'm short. I'm 5'2". When do you ever see a 5'2" dancer? But no, my body is just more strong instead of it looks more strong versus um, elegant. And so a lot of the dance that I go for is more jazz. It's more
hmm.
hip hop. It's more, I do really like modern and lyrical, but as much as that was what created and sparked my creative journey, um, I probably will just be a very good mover, and I enjoy choreographing. I think I have an eye for that. Um, and I can choreograph things that I myself cannot do, but I know dancers who can pull it off. Um, but I continue to dance because I love it, and I'm not. My desires are not to be in a dance troupe. So if I can get through choreography for my shows, or if there's going to be film that needs to do, I can work on it, and I can. I am good for that.
Do you ever break dance?
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't even know where to start. So yeah, it makes its rounds. It keeps it stays in the rotation. And I do, quite honestly, I do take some bar classes,
Mm.
like some actual, not bar fitness, because bar fitness is very different than an actual ballet technique class. But I have found some YouTube videos of um, there's one lady, she is a former New York City ballet soloist, and she has had several technique classes on there. And so every once in a while, I will do one of her classes just to keep up with the technique and just keep it moving,
Mhm.
or keep the muscles.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I see.
yeah, you can edit that out. That's weird.
So, for those who are curious about your music and they've never heard it before, what are some songs that you would recommend? Maybe they try out, they listen to first, and what is the genre of your music?
For the most part, it's pop. Um, but I have alternative pop. I have electro pop. Empty Bottle is very R&B. Um, I try, even though I am kind of in the pop element, the one thing I cannot stand is to limit myself to one genre. So you will see me cross-genring a lot, but it stays in the pop element. Um, as far as songs to try first, Bad News is very popular. Um, that one. Who I Am, Iris. So Iris by Goo Goo Dolls. Everybody has done their cover version of it, but I had not seen anybody do an updated rendition or kind of a electro house type cover. And I'm being saying it's a cover is kind of loose. It's more very inspired by the song.
Mm.
Um, I took that song, going back to interpretation of music. This is one of the songs that people consider one of the most romantic songs to be ever written. But when I listened to it when it came out and I heard it for the first time, I did not interpret it that way. I interpreted it as I am here, I have these emotions and these feelings, and the world doesn't understand me. I'm kind of in a box, and I don't want the world to see what's really going on with me. That's how I interpreted it. So what I did was I took the inspiration of the melody, the some of the same phrasing, but kind of modernized and different. And I wrote my own verses to it in the for it to make it more modern, because that is a very that's an old song, and I hate saying that. That makes me feel old. But I mean, I wanted it to resonate with the younger generation, so I wrote it in the fact that we have social media these days, so now everyone can see what I'm doing. Everyone can see me instead of the world doesn't see me. Like the world can see me all the time. And yet I still feel like they don't understand because everything's fake online. So that's that. So people it tends to really enjoy that. So I would say give that a try. Um, hmm, let's see, Bad News, and yeah, Bad News. and Who I Am, Iris, and then Kept the Lights is a Kept the Lights is a fan favorite along with Rental. Those are two that frequently get played over and over and over. So yeah,
And is your music like on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube?
it is on all platforms. You can find it on YouTube Music, Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify. If my distributor releases it to SoundCloud, then it's on SoundCloud. I don't use that platform, so I don't really know about that. But my music is also my album. Truth is that I released in October. It's also available for CD and vinyl as well. Um,
Nice.
and I'm with a record label called East London Recordings, and my music is available on their Bandcamp as well.
Okay, and do you ever perform live or do you have any upcoming shows?
I have performed live. I haven't in quite a while. It's one of the things that I'm working on putting together. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this in the best way to accommodate as many listeners and followers as I can, because I know a lot of people who listen to my music, they don't live locally to me.
Mhm.
So, but I want to be able to give them a show. So I'm working on something. I would say probably at least by this year, there will be at least one show this year, I believe.
Any shows in San Antonio?
If there's enough of an audience who wants me to come down to San Antonio, by all means. I do love San Antonio. So I
Awesome.
mean, tell all your friends, go check it out. Tell them, hey, come do a live show for us. I will hook y'all up.
Awesome. Now to start wrapping up this episode, I just have a couple more questions. My first one is, are there any upcoming creatives, musicians out there who are either upcoming or less known whom you suggest we keep an eye out for?
Well, the first one is one of my best friends. Her name is Joni. Um, she is the other artist that features on Empty Bottle and in the music video. So y'all should definitely go check her out. She just released a new song and she's working on a music video for that single as well. Also, I have a friend who is working on new music and she is due to release some new music here very soon. Her name is Danny Renee. And then um, the sound engineer that mixed and mastered my entire Obstacles EP and a lot of the music beforehand, his name is Justin Labosco. And he's also a featured singer in Rental. So you can hear his voice, and he's phenomenal. And he just released an album, and it's very um, punk rock, kind of punk rock. Yeah, punk rock kind of. And the album is so good. So definitely go check him out. They're all on all the major platforms. So yeah.
Awesome. And now for my final question. My final question is, Bree, why is creativity important for you?
I think people take the world a bit too seriously. I think myself included. And I think art is a way there's a duality to it. You can use music and creativity and expression to really dig in and try and understand what you're feeling, or the very opposite. You can use it to just let go and release whatever worries are going on and just have attention. If that means you dance, you know, to forget your troubles and do that. If you write music to to get out of your head and to make sense of what's going on in your head, do that. If you're acting and you want to step in people's shoes so you can be empathetic and understand other people's experiences, and do that. I mean, and creativity and expression doesn't even stop with those in performing arts. It's uh, fine art and fashion even. You know, it's very expressive. I mean, you can tell people's personalities by how they dress and the things that they like, how they decorate their home, you know, doing different arts and crafts and whatever it is that you like to do, it doesn't have to be the performing arts. You don't have to be standing on stage, being in front of a lot of people to be able to express yourself and it for it to mean something. So I think it's what collectively brings us all together. It's what allows us to remember that we are human. We're not animals. I mean, well, we're animals, but we have brains and we have feelings, and it makes us all tied together. And especially in this time where there's so much separation and so much hatred, and
Mm.
it's just so important to remember to respect everybody, no matter their race, color, sexuality, whatever it is, political agenda, whatever it is. You just to remember that we are all human. We all have the same feelings, and we all work the same. And art in general is what will bring us together. It always has. It always will. And it's also it also beats the language barrier. You take um, you take Bad Bunny's performance. Some people they didn't understand a word that he said, but they understood because they felt what he was saying. They could feel it in the music. They could feel it in his vibe and the way he presented himself. And that is priceless, to be quite honest, because you could be Russian. I don't know a single word of Russian, but my music or my art is going to speak to that person because it's a language all its own.
Well,
That was long winded, but
thank you so much for sharing. And those who want to find out more about Bri McKay, where can they go online and find out more about you?
definitely give me a follow on Instagram at the Bri McKay. You can find a lot of my music and other, cool stuff going on at my website, brimckay.com. And my music videos are on YouTube, and they're you can find me on all the music platforms. So whatever's your favorite.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Bree, for joining me here on my podcast, Creativity Worth
Yeah,
Expressing, and for sharing all about your creative endeavors. And before I forget, you mentioned somewhere in the beginning that you have authored a book, you've written a book. Can you briefly share with us just what it's about and the title of it?
sure. Um, I wrote a nonfiction book called The Gray World: Understanding Bipolar Disorder. And it's exactly that. It's about bipolar. I have one chapter where it is about my story. I wrote that and released it when I was 24 years old. So that's my life experiences up to 24. Um, not to age myself, but that's quite a bit of time ago. So I think there's some really insightful information for people, and I think some of the wisdom, and especially for caregivers, that I put in there, is good for people not only with bipolar, but who are caregivers for um, other mental illnesses. And I'm looking to do a second edition and expand it. So within the next couple of years, that should be on the books. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And you can find it on Amazon or Goodreads. And there's a paperback version and a Kindle version.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Bree. And for those in the audience, if you've been listening to this episode on Spotify, please feel free to give it a follow and hopefully some stars. 5 stars recommendation, I hope, and it's up to you. And if you've been listening to this on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and if you would like to help me out a little bit more, you can do so and contribute to my buy a coffee, and you can buy me a coffee at I'm like repeating myself at buymeacoffee.com/truth that H7. All of your contributions help me to keep the podcast going and to reach out to all these different creators, artists, and helps me pay for things like for the Zoom and for all the things that go into making episodes like this. And to Bree, again, you rock. Thank you so much for being an awesome guest on the podcast.
My pleasure. My pleasure.